We want you to leave here with a mission. We want SEEK 2019 to be an experience that transforms you into a person who is not just on fire for God, but on fire with a specific mission from God. That mission might be something huge. I know a guy who once was inspired. He had this crazy idea from God to start an organization that would send Catholic missionaries to universities all over the world. That's a pretty cool mission, huh? You might have heard of this guy. His name is Curtis Martin. Round of applause for him. But maybe your mission is something more simple. I've heard of this woman. Her big mission from God is she writes letters to seminarians. She gets out her nicest stationery and she just hand writes letters to let them know how loved they are by God, how much their community appreciates their discernment, to encourage them, to let them know that she is praying for them. Amazing, right? That mission does not seem very impressive to the outside world. But to the seminarians who receive these letters, it's everything. It's tremendous. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Jen, I haven't been given a mission yet. I think maybe God skipped me when he was handing out the missions at SEEK. If you're not sure what your mission is, start in the moment. Start by simply asking God right now, Lord, what is your mission for me this week? Don't let yourself get overwhelmed where God may take you 5, 10, 15 years ago, your life plan. Ask him what his mission is for you this week. If that's too overwhelming, and believe me, I get it if it is, ask him what your mission is today. In the next hour, what does the Lord want from you? Maybe you'll feel inspired to simply smile at every single person you encounter today, a big, genuine, loving smile. Maybe you'll feel inspired to buy a cup of coffee from the person in line in front of you at the coffee shop. What you will find is these little yeses in the moments of your daily life add up to bigger yeses. Your little yeses add up to bigger yeses. And if you keep asking God for your mission right here, right now, in this moment, God will give you little pebbles to lay down. And eventually he will add them up to a mountain. You know what I think when I'm up here on this stage? I've got a great view. I can see all y'all. And I am a Texan, so I had to say y'all at least once during my talk. I knew it. I knew my Texans were gonna come through as soon as I said that. God bless you guys. God bless Texas. How great are you guys? All right, so I can see all y'all. And you know what I'm thinking as I look out at this group? I think about what we learned from the lives of the saints. I think the biggest thing I've taken away from reading the lives of the saints is that it only takes one person on fire for God to transform his or her community, nation, or even the whole world. It only takes one. So what could a room full of 18,000 people do for this nation and this world? Think about it. Think about it. It only takes one, and we have 18,000. But here's what I worry about. I'm really concerned about something. Whether you know it or not, many of you are about to enter a different season in your life. 3, 5, 10 years from now, many of you will meet someone, you'll get married, you'll settle down, you'll start a family. And I am so worried that you will lose your mission in that process. I am so worried that you will take this fire, this passion, this mission that God is going to give you before you leave this conference, and you will lose it when you start a family. I see it happen all the time. You know, let's admit it. When we think of family life, when we think of getting married, getting the house, having some kids, maybe you have a dog. My husband just got a 130-pound dog who is not housebroken without running it by me. We have a dog. When you think of that, the suburban house, the mortgage, the kids, the bills, we all think of that family home as the death of your dreams, right? Let's face it, we do. You think of the house in the suburbs, that whole family lifestyle, as a time to be boring, as a time to let your passions go. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I am here to tell you that that mentality is wrong, it's bad, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I have 6 children. Thank you. Oh, they're right there. I knew they were here at the conference. I did not know they were in the front row. So my 6 kids are here at SEEK. So if you hear anything spill, if you hear people fighting, don't worry about it. It's just my kids. We're fine. I am here as a mother of 6 young children. Guys, we even homeschool. All right. We live in a little 3-bedroom house with the kids and a dog and a one-eyed cat. I drive a minivan, guys. And the reason I came all the way out here to Indianapolis from Texas is to tell you that when you get married and have a family, this is not the death of your dreams. Your family home is not a graveyard for your mission. Your family home should be a garden with fertile soil where your mission takes on new life and flourishes like never before. I learned all of this the hard way, of course, like I learn everything. Those of you who follow me on Instagram know this. I learn everything the hard way. I converted to Catholicism after an entire life of atheism. I was always an atheist. My husband and I both converted at the same time. We entered the church at Easter Vigil 2007. Are there any other converts in the house? All right. And when I think of my conversion, when I think of going from atheism to Catholicism, the only way to describe it is, I think of it as a process of waking up, of coming to life. When people ask me, they say, Jen, is your life better now that you're Catholic? I don't know how to answer that because that's the wrong paradigm. I don't think of it in terms of, is my life better or worse now that I'm Catholic? I think of it as, my life has started now that I am Catholic. And so when I came into the church, immediately God inspired me with this mission. He inspired me with this mission that I was so excited about. I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to share how I went from being a pro-choice, militant atheist to being a pro-life Catholic. And I was willing to do the whole thing, even if it simply helped one person. I was so excited about this mission. A friend of mine calls this, when you have these moments of discovering your mission, being filled with passion, she calls it your blue flame. Isn't that a great term? Your blue flame. Something that God has given you that you can use to help others, and it ignites a passion within you. So I'd found my blue flame, and I was so excited to do this, to write this story, put a book together. But I had 2 young children, and then another one along the way. And I was trying to do the right thing for my family. I was trying to do the right thing for my kids. And I said, I can't do this. I can't follow this mission right now. I mean, I'm not even making any money from this. It doesn't make sense for me to divide my energy this way. You know, I was about to have 3 children under age 3. It doesn't make sense for me to divide my energy and take all this away from my family to write some book that nothing may even come of this. And I got a lot of advice along these lines. People would say, Jen, these are your years of service. This is your time to serve. So you set your dreams aside. You take that blue flame, you take your dreams, you put it in a box, and you put it on the shelf. And then when the kids are older, you'll get your life back. You'll be able to get your real life back. And then you can do mission and all this stuff that you enjoy. And I thought that was the right thing to do, so I set everything aside. And I knew many other women at this time who followed similar advice. And they were as unhappy as I was. And many of them ended up making permanent choices not to be open to more children. And some of them would even say to me in private conversations, they'd say, yeah, Jen, we did feel like having more children might be the right call for us. We did feel like maybe we should be open. But one friend in particular said, I felt like some vital part of me was suffocating. I had this passion, I had this blue flame, and I just couldn't keep putting it on hold, and so I felt like we couldn't be open to any more children. And I thought, well, I know, I guess you're doing the right thing. But meanwhile, my husband and I felt called to be open to a big family. That felt like the right path for us. We ended up having 6 babies in 8 years. And with baby, okay, you know what? I deserve a round of applause for that. Thank you. Aren't you glad I'm not here to talk to you about natural family planning? But I'm wondering, when do I get my life back? Evidently, I am a baby machine. So if it is true that you have to put your passion, your mission on hold during the baby and toddler years, when do I live my mission? I was so unhappy, and I blamed myself. I said, gosh, if I were just a better Catholic, if I were just a better parent, I'd be able to be happy. I'd be able to set all this aside. And finally, I talked to a priest friend about this, and thank God for wise priests. What would we do without them? I talked to a wise priest friend, and he said, are you so sure that God wants you to set your mission aside completely? He kind of sat back in his chair and he said, because here's how it looks from my perspective. If this is true, if this view is true, that when you have young children, you're supposed to set your mission aside, blow out that blue flame that God has given you. If that's all true, then what that means is we will have a generation of people, of Catholics, in the prime of their lives who are not living any kind of mission, whose voices are silent, who are hidden. He said, does that sound right to you? He went on to point out this idea of your life of service to your family as being a short and finite little chunk of your life, that you have me time when you're single, and then you serve your family for a little while, and then you have me time when you're retired, and it's all about you and whatever you like to do. He said, Jen, this is a very secular concept. This is not in line with the historical Christian view of things. Christianity says that every single one of us is called to intimate, self-sacrificing connections with some kind of community every day of our lives. So for me, my primary community is my husband and my children. But even single people, even retired people in the Christian life are called to that intimate service of their community. And if you think that you can't serve the people you love and live your mission at the same time, then you will never live your mission. And you know what I think? This view that you got to put your life on hold when you have young children, and then you've got your me time when you can get back to your real life after the kids are grown. I have an opinion about this, but is this a safe space where I can say something that will make me sound like a super crazy religious fanatic? Can I say something crazy? I think this whole view of putting your life on hold when you have young children, I think it's a lie, and I think it's from the devil. And I am glad that I am in a room with people who acknowledge that spiritual attack is real. There really are evil forces out there that are active and that are strong and that are trying to stop good people from changing the world. And I'm so thankful that I'm in a room where I can say that. Think about what a win that is for the devil if the next generation of young Catholic families all put their mission on hold because they think that's what they have to do to be good parents. Their voices will be silent. We will not have the perspective of thriving young families in the wider marketplace of ideas in this culture. But what a win it would be for the kingdom of God if this next generation of young Catholic families unites together, combines their forces to say, we are going to live our mission together, and we are boldly and fearlessly going to add light and love to the world together, and nothing can stop us. What a win that would be for the kingdom of God. And you know what this priest said next? Oh, it got me. Oh, this just pierced me to the core. He looked right at me and he said, Jen, why did you really set your mission aside? What was the real reason? And you know what it was? I was scared. I was so scared. I was terrified. I was terrified that I might put myself out there and people would say, oh, Jen, that's actually a really dumb story. And you're not a real writer. And this whole book that you did is like kind of a joke. I was terrified of trying and failing, and I hid behind my family. I used my family as an excuse to not face my fears. And so this priest said, you've got to get over it. You've got to live this mission in whatever way God calls you to do. So I jumped into it, and immediately I found that when I ignited this blue flame in the context of family life, it didn't detract energy from my family. It gave me more energy to share with my family. I would write a couple pages, and I would be more energized, more on fire to go cook dinner or change a diaper. It inspired my children, multiple of my daughters sitting right there. They're working on novels. They're exploring their gifts. My husband started exploring his gifts. And I found that God will give you a mission that is a living mission, and it will grow and change as the seasons of your life change. There were times when, for me, living my mission meant writing 2 pages a week. I would just have a couple hours here and there, but yet it still filled me up. And now living my mission looks completely different. The key is to connect with God every single day and say, Lord, what does living my mission look like today, right here, right now? And I also found that you have to fight for your mission. There is that force out there that opposes light and love. And when you try to add it into the world through your mission, you will face that resistance. You will face that spiritual attack, and you have to fight through it. You must. And so I fought for my mission. I wrote this book with sickening morning sickness, with babies spitting up on me, getting up early, staying up late. I finally finished it, and it was published when I had 6 children under age 9. The book was published by Ignatius Press Thanks. And here's this moment. This box of books came to my doorstep. And it was this tremendous moment. The kids were screaming and celebrating with me. I picked up this book, this mission God had given me that meant so much. And the biggest lesson I learned came from what happened next. I took the book to my grandfather's house. I piled the kids in the minivan, drove to my grandfather's house. We called him Papa. This was just shy of his 100th birthday. Oh God, say a prayer for the repose of his soul. He was such an amazing man. And he had always believed in me. He'd always encouraged me in my writing. I was his only granddaughter. I am an only child. My dad's an only child. I was his only granddaughter. He'd always believed I could write this book. He'd also always believed in God. And I walked up to him and I showed him the book. And I opened to the first page. And I think we have a picture of what he saw. Not gonna cry. I dedicated the book to him. He believed in me. He was always a believer. And it was such a tremendous moment for him when he saw that inscription. He had tears in his eyes, tears streaming down his face at 100 years old. And he put that book down and he looked up at me and he said, "Jenny, you will never know what this means to me." And he was memorialized in this book that is now out there, and he knew that his memory would live on through that, and he passed away shortly thereafter. And that was the biggest lesson I think I learned of all. If I had let my fears stop me from putting this together, my grandfather would have passed away before he got to see that inscription. When you use your family as an excuse not to live your mission, when you use your family to hide behind so you don't have to face your fears, you're not the main one who misses out. You know who pays the price? The people who would have been blessed by God through you. They're the ones who miss out when you don't live your mission. St. Irenaeus says that the glory of God is man fully alive. I would say, in conclusion, that in this time and place in history, the glory of God is the family fully alive. The glory of God is the family fully alive. Our culture, the secular culture around us, is falling apart at the seams. It is a disaster. And the fault line on which it is cracking is the issue of family life, because what it means to be a family goes to the very heart of what it means to be human. And so if you walked into this room today with these conceptions of family life as a time to set aside your mission, a time to set aside your passion, a time to be boring, I want you to let that go. Leave that in this room. There is too much at stake. There is too much on the line to have a generation of Catholics who set their mission aside for family. Here's my final point. I want you to leave this room not thinking of the family home as a graveyard for your mission, but think of the family home as a mission control center for an army that God is going to use to change the world. Thank you.